Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you have a good day today. Good day for me. Day off. I just chilled. Went out with a friend. Blah 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 blah. Uh, I wore Cuba Blue, um, because I felt like it. No other reason. Uh, I forgot what it was a dupe of when I sprayed it on. It was initially flooded with memories, right? Because this is a dupe of CK One. Perfect dupe? No. Good enough for like $5, 100 mils, or $10, 100 mils. Perfect. Um, Now, before I even talk about this fragrance and how it smells, performs, etc., 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 I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about CK1's legendary status. Yes, it is legendary. Some of you may hate it, but it's still legendary, especially for old farts like me. Um, CK1 did what no other fragrance up to that point that I was aware of. Might have been one that I'm not aware of that I was aware of. It changed the way men's colognes were marketed and smelled, really. For those of you who weren't around for the release of this, up until then, a lot of men's cologne was, you know, strong woods, leather, musk, soapy. Um, things like Obsession, Dracar Noir, Zero Fahrenheit. And we had some fresher options too, your Eternity, your Italian Colonias, and Aquatics, Cool Water. So we had stuff like that. But that was basic men's cologne. Um, Again, there might have been some that were different. I don't know. Uh, I'm just going by what was popular, basically. Um, and that was the way men smelled pretty much from the 70s, 80s, right up until the mid 90s, honestly, was Jacquard Noir, Polo, which is nothing wrong with them. Love them. They're great. But let's be real. They're very different than most fragrances. And this kind of, well, not this, but CK1 kind of, I think, sparked that change from men's fragrances, um, from being thick, heavy leather and woods and stuff like that, to, or just basic aquatics, fresh Italian clones or aquatics, to more fresh, floral, powdery, airy type fragrances. Um, this came along and was like, no man, you can smell fresh, powdery, floral, clean, and your girl can wear it too. Holy crap! Now, were there unisex fragrances before? Pretty sure there was. I don't know of any, but I imagine there was. And pretty much all fragrance is unisex anyway. If you really want, if you like something, wear it. It doesn't matter. Um, but this kind of was the first one I remember being a huge hit, to my knowledge. Again, I'm going to keep saying that. You guys are going, no, this one was too fine, but this was the first one to the general masses. This CK1 that was great, and and I can honestly remember older men, like my dad and his friends, uncles, older cousins, even some guys my age saying, I don't get it. Why would I want to smell like my girl? Like, why do I want to smell like a girl? You know, alpha man, me don't smell like girl. and and as time went on, and it didn't take long, it only took a few months to a year, that men started to wear it and women started to like it and complimented them on it. Most men and boys started to accept it and even like it. It was a nice, refreshing, easy to wear, light and clean fragrance, and women really did like it on men back in the day. Still do, actually, to tell you the truth, which will get me to this when I do this one. Um, which also kind of brings me to the fact that it didn't take too long to catch on. 6 months or so, which I know in today's market is ridiculous. Cologne comes out and it's either a hit or not. There's generally no. But you got to realize we weren't hit with the mass marketing. We didn't have social medias. We didn't have the internet. You couldn't just go and look up a fragrance on Fragrantica. You had to wait until you got your hands on it. You might have smelled it a couple times in the store, thought, okay, it's nice. You had to wait for somebody to get it, to wear it, so you could even borrow from them, wear it to get a full review of it, or a full, not review, but a full wearing of it to see if you liked it or not, see how it worked on you. There was nothing, nothing really took off um, quick back then like it does now. They weren't looking for instant gratification. They knew stuff took time. Even television shows. Look at Cheers. I think it was Cheers. I'm pretty sure it was Cheers or Night Court, or one of the two. Probably both actually. Prime example. The first couple seasons they did horrible. They shuffled it around till it, eventually found its right spot and then found its audience. A couple seasons in. Nowadays, if a show doesn't do well within the first 2 3 episodes, they cancel it. Right. But back then, to even things like I said, music. What Nirvana released their album like 91 or something like that. It really didn't catch on till late 93, early 94, uh, to the mass market. And I mean, that's just the way it went. Everybody knew it was going to take time for something to catch on back then. And most colognes, Cool Water, I'll give you an example. To my knowledge, really didn't catch on until the early 90s, released into the late 80s. Didn't really catch on until the early 90s. Um, Maybe in bigger cities it did, but I'm just talking, worldwide. Really, it took a couple years, and it was huge. Same as this. It took about 6 months though, and it seemed to catch on pretty quick, and everybody was wearing it, and I mean everybody. It smelled. It was everywhere. The smell was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere in the mid to late 90s, even into the early 2000s, and not smell this pretty much everywhere. That's how big CK1 was. I don't think people who didn't live through it, or people who didn't live through it, uh, don't realize how big that a fragrance like CK1 was. Calvin Klein's CK1, um, Cool Water, a Drakkar. I barely lived through Drakkar. I just remember it really young. Older men like my dad. But I mean, people don't realize how big and they think something comes out, especially the younger guys, like I said, girls too. Something comes out and immediately it's a hit now, and if it's not, it's no good. No, back then it took a little time. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, how can I not mention all that about CK1? And it's again, you may not like it, and that's perfectly fine, but you have to respect the legendary status that it has and what it did and also what it did was marketing. You get an odd commercial every now and then, or you'd see something in a magazine every now and then. Remember, we had no internet, or I shouldn't say that. The internet had just kind of started, so it wasn't what it was even 5 years later in 2000. Um, for the first couple of years, the internet was kind of just finding itself, you know what I mean? And but I seen commercial after commercial after commercial for this, and the commercials normally for if it's a woman's fragrance, it was a girl, pretty girl on a beach, walking in the wind blowing, Dior, or if it was a man's fragrance, it was generally a dude in a leather jacket and a t-shirt sitting on a motorbike, or a dude in the woods or on the ocean somewhere, and that was it. Cool Water, Jerker, Uh, but the CK1 ads were different. You know, they played on androgyny, male, female, unisex. Um, uh, Same as the CKB ads, they were like that too, which was another big fragrance. Not near as big as this, but still big. And, some people call it the heroin uh, models, like the skinny, real skinny kind of almost. But it wasn't the models that did it. It was just the whole black and white ads, the way they were talking. You know, you can be one, we can all be one. It was just really cool ads, right? And And the fact that they were everywhere. You seen them. I seen a CK1 ad for probably at least a solid year, once a day at minimum. That's a lot of ads. So, it was on every ad, on every TV show. Wrestling, when I'd watch wrestling, there were CK1 ads. Watch music, much music here in uh, the States was MTV, but I mean, geez, we're bombarded with them on those channels. So, yeah, so marketing was another huge thing that it did differently and successfully than pretty much any other men's fragrance or fragrance in general, actually, because not just men's, right? So anyway, let's get on to this now that I've rambled about the greatness that is CK1. But how does this smell compared to CK1? Pretty close. It's not identical. I put a couple on my moisturizer, a couple on my neck, a couple on my chest, a couple on my arms, a couple on my shirt. Because it is a Cuba, I knew that, so it's going to be light. And it's. I'm not going to sit here and give you a big description. It smells like CK1. It's fresh. It's citrusy. It's floral. It's powdery. It's, to me, there's almost a baby powder, talcum powder vibe that comes off of my skin. This one does come off on skin different on a lot of people. On my skin, it's pretty much a baby powder / talcum powder fragrance, with a hint of soapiness. Lavender, whatever. Florals. White musk. It is what it is. You know what CK. Everyone, and if you do not know what CK1 smells like by now, there's a million friggin' clones out there, a million smell-alikes. You can actually get CK1 for like $20 or $30 at Walmart at Christmas time. Go to your local perfume, whatever, and spray it on, smell it. You've got to smell it. If you've never smelled CK1, at least smell it, guys. And you'll smell this and be like, yeah, it's CK1. It's not a perfect dupe. This is a little more citrusy and a little more talcum powderish, whereas CK1 goes a little more baby powderish on me, but still powdery, right? So, yeah, it's CK1. I don't have to. Performance, only about 3 hours, but it is a Cuba. I didn't expect much more than that. Projection, about half hour, 40 minutes, about an arm's length out there. Comes in real quick, a couple hours. It's a little bubble and it's a skin scent for half hour or an hour, then it's gone. It is Cuba. But I loved it. It made me think of high school, like I said, made me think of CK1 and just how iconic that fragrance is, not was, is, and what it did for fragrance in general, but men's fragrance in particular, how it took it from, or it was one of the ones anyway, the big one that I remember, taking it more into a metrosexual, shall I say, lighter, fresher, cleaner kind of vibe that, we have CK1 to thank for a lot of fragrances like that today, right? That, Iris, for example, Dior Homme, Dior Mo, Dior Homme, Dior Homme O, Dior Homme, and any of them makeup-y, sticky. Men would never have worn them if this hadn't came out, I don't think. This kind of made it okay to smell, girly, I guess would be the word. Not that I think they're girly, but I'm just kind of trying to throw a word out there. So, yeah, that's it, guys. Did get me a couple compliments with the girl I was hanging out with tonight, my friend. She really liked it. She recognized it. She said, "Oh, I know what that is." I said, "I love that stuff." And she's about 35, so right at the perfect age, really. So, yeah, it still works today. And I really enjoyed it. It just made me feel almost young again, really, honestly. Not that I'm super old. I keep joking about it, but I mean, you know what I mean. It made me feel like I was 14 again. It was great. All right, guys, that's it. Peace, love, be good to each other, and be good to yourselves.